Hi, DZ Movies here. Today I'm going to explain an action sci-fi movie called Inuyasha Kii. Incoming spoilers. Sit back, relax and enjoy. From the beginning of the film we see Mari and Takeshi with their mother heading to a big and beautiful house. They have the impression and enthusiasm that this was their new house bought by their father, only when they got closer they actually saw that the house their father bought for them was a smaller one behind the big one, which takes all their enthusiasm away. The action moves the next day when Ichiro leaves work later, overtime, on his way home, notices how some thugs were trying to take money from a guy, beating him. He doesn't want to get involved. But when he returns, he notices his daughter, Mari, who is looking at him with disappointment, reproaching her that she is just a miserable coward. That night Ichiro was sitting on the doorstep, reflecting on what had happened, when a dog approached him. Ichiro stretches to caress him when he notices that he has a ticket attached. The note said that the dog's name was Hanako and asked him to take care of him. His wife appears in front of the door. She tells him to get rid of the dog and gives her husband his medical record. Ichiro opens the envelope and after his tests, he has to make another medical visit. The next day, Ichiro goes straight to the doctor, and after the tests, the doctor informs him with regret that he has third-degree cancer, a cancer that has spread throughout his body, and he has only a few months to live. He calls his wife to tell her the terrible news, but he shuts them down until he can break the news to her, while his children don't even answer the phone. Ichiro takes his dog and goes for a walk that evening. He wonders if his family will cry if they will be affected by his news or when he will no longer be. Ichiro decides to leave the dog on the street and leave, but to his surprise the dog follows him. Ichiro starts to cry and apologize for wanting to leave him. It seems that Hanako is the only one who cares about him in the end. Moments later Ichiro notices a young man sitting on a bench in front of him, and then the two notice a blinding light coming from the sky. A giant thing falls from the sky hitting the place where the two were instantly causing the death of Ichiro and the young man. However, Ichiro wakes up and notices he no longer needs glasses. He returns home with Hanako. It doesn't take long for him to notice that his hand is turning into a weapon. It's not long before he notices that his hand turns into a weapon. Then all parts of his body disembowel and perhaps the most terrifying thing is when he sees himself in the mirror. And then perhaps the most terrifying thing is when he sees himself in the mirror as his head disintegrates. But Ichiro was not the only one changed. Hiro also received superpowers. He showed his friend Naoyuki how he can kill a bird with his fingers only, after which he later shows him how he can move vehicles only with power, mind. On his way to work Ichiro is still trying to figure out what's going on. Visibly confused, he stumbles upon an injured pigeon, but to his surprise when he takes it in his hands, just by touching it he manages to heal it. Then he hears a mother in a hospital begging the doctors to save his son. Following the source of the sound, Ichiro arrives at the hospital in the young man's room, thus testing his theory. When he touches him he heals the boy as well as injured pigeon. Suddenly his mood changes radically when he sees that he can help the world. The next day Naoyuki is abused by his classmates, when Hiro appears and defends him, but Hiro was ready to kill one of the aggressors when he extends his finger ready to kill him, but stopped in time by Naoyuki. Hiro's new aggressive attitude with his powers frightens his friend. However, on the same day she and a classmate of the two who was in love with Hiro decides to confess this, which surprises him. His mother is a waitress in a restaurant, and his rich father has rebuilt his life with another woman after leaving his mother. Hiro is still visiting his father tonight to have dinner together, and although his stepbrothers adore him, he can't stand them, his hatred coming from the situation of his lonely mother who is struggling. That evening after dinner with his father and his family, he heads back home, but on the way he hears a happy family in their house that resembles his father's. He, full of hatred and desire for revenge, enters the house killing them. All this time, Ichiro uses his new powers to help the world, spending a good amount of time in the hospital, in order to save as many children as possible. The next day the headlines report these killings headline. Due to the fact that no bullets were found at the crime scene, Naoyuki suspects his friend Hiro. When the two meet, Hiro gives him a package with a lot of money, due to which the two get into a small conflict. The conversation ends when Naoyuki tells her that they can no longer be pity, which destroys Hiro. He returns home to his mother, where he learns that she is suffering from pancreatic cancer, falling into her arms and promising not to let her die. The action moves to Ichiro's house where things are a mess. Their son steals money from his mother. His daughter tells them he doesn't want to go to university, and when Ichiro tries to calm them down he tells them that he will protect everyone but instigate even more ridicule. His daughter laughs at him, and tells him more that her brother is being beaten by his classmates at school and his mother is having an affair with a guy younger than her. That evening Ichiro is devastated and he is left alone in his room where he cries constantly. As he cries, he hears Naoyuki's prayer to God, to stop his friend from killing the world. When Ichiro hears this, he realizes that he is talking about Hiro, and flies to him. The two have a discussion about how they got into this situation, and then Naoyuki offers to teach Ichiro how to use his powers better to stop Hiro, but Hiro uses these powers more effectively when it comes to a fight than Ichiro. The next day the two meet in an abandoned place to start training. After several attempts Ichiro finally manages to shoot with his finger just like Hiro, but it's not perfect yet. All this time Hiro and his mother go to the doctor, but to everyone's surprise the doctor tells them that somehow his mother has healed. On the way back to the house they are greeted by 6 policemen. They want to interrogate Hiro but he manages to get rid of them using his powers, and in his attempt to escape, he kills 3 more policemen. The next day, Hiro's picture was everywhere, and everyone was trying to find him and stop him. He is eventually found not by the police but by his colleague Shion, who is not interested in the people killed but only in the love of her life Hiro. This allows Hiro to stay with her for as long as she needs by taking him home. Meanwhile, Ichiro perfects his technique of shooting things with his fingers, and discovers that water works as a kind of fuel for them, but not any kind of water because it is allergic to a certain type. Hiro's mother is harassed on the internet and on the street, and as she reaches a point where she can no longer cope she gives up her life. As Hiro couldn't help her, he watches the news helplessly as he cries, then finds out that he is capable of killing people through their phones, and sets out on an internet hunt against all those who have taken his mother. One night Hiro shows his robot hand to Shion telling him that he is no longer human, but they don't care. The two take a walk in flight, then when they return home, a team of snipers enters over them and violently shoots everything that moves. They are all eliminated by Hiro but not in time to save the life of his friend, killed in exchange for gunfire. Ichiro finds out what Hiro had done, and asks his family to stay home and not use the phones, but as expected, they ignore him. As Hiro had no reason to live now that both his mother and his girlfriend were dead, he declared war on Japan. After this statement that the people in the street were watching on a huge advertising monitor, he started shooting them from that monitor, taking the lives of several people, unleashing a whole chaos. Meanwhile, Ichiro and Naoyuki managed to hack the systems through which Hiro was transmitting. They transmit their own message, urging the population to throw away their phones and stay as far away from any computer as possible to escape with their lives. At that moment, Hiro realized that there was another person like him, Ichiro, who changed his tactics and launched several rockets in different areas of the city, amplifying the destruction and chaos. Ichiro manages to find him and goes after him. The two finally meet again face to face on the roof of a building. Ichiro tries to calm Hiro down, but without success, so inevitably the two end up fighting. In the air above Tokyo, rockets flying in all directions destroying buildings and innocent people, one of those endangered being his own daughter Ichiro, Mari. Ichiro hears his daughter screaming for help, but the action hits the roof of another building again, and Ichiro is still trying to make Hiro stop. But Hiro refuses. However, when he tries to drink some water, Ichiro shoots her, but Hiro still manages to drink from another bottle, but this time from a water with sodium in it, which is not good for them, but Hiro didn't know that. Overloaded now, Hiro takes the fight to space, where he almost hits Ichiro all of a sudden because of the sodium effect. He becomes weak and falls, at which point Ichiro launches one last rocket attack on him. After which Ichiro quickly returns to Earth and the building where his daughter was to help her. Finding her almost dead among the remains, he saves her with his powers. But the two do not celebrate too much, because Hiro is still alive. He returns and attacks Ichiro. Mari is meanwhile shot by Hiro, and then thrown from the floor of the building. Seeing this, Ichiro can no longer control his anger, and with all the amplified robotic power, with one last blow he destroys Hiro, flies out the window and catches his daughter in time so as not to die when he was about to get down. After a week, Hiro is declared dead, and Ichiro becomes a hero, and obviously much more respected in his family, especially by his daughter, who was wrong about her father, whom she judged harshly all these years. Subscribe to this channel if you want more videos like this. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to turn on notification to help this channel.